RabbitMQ is the broker most people meet first, and it's the one most often pitted against Kafka in interviews. It's the poster child for the smart broker philosophy. The broker does the routing, so your consumers don't have to. But there's one thing about RabbitMQ that trips up almost everyone the first time. So let's start right there. Here it is. In RabbitMQ, producers do not send messages to queues. Let me say that again, because it's counterintuitive. Producers never publish directly to a queue. They publish to something called an exchange. And the exchange decides which queues the message should go to. Think of the exchange as a mail sorting room. You drop your letter off, you write a label on it, and the sorting room decides which mailboxes get a copy based on a set of rules. Let me give you the 4 pieces of vocabulary. The exchange receives messages and decides where they go. The binding is a rule that links an exchange to a queue. The routing key is the label on your message that the exchange matches against those rules. And the queue is where messages wait for a consumer to pick them up. Producer, to exchange, through bindings, into queues, to consumers. Now, exchanges come in 4 types, and you should know all 4 cold, because this is a favorite interview question. Direct exchange. The routing key has to match the binding exactly. Message labeled payments goes to the queue bound with payments. Simple point-to-point by name. Topic exchange. The routing key is matched against a wildcard pattern, so a binding like order.star.Europe can catch a whole category of messages. This is your flexible hierarchical routing. In these patterns, a star matches exactly 1 word, and a hash matches 0 or more. Fanout exchange. It ignores the routing key entirely and just copies the message to every bound queue. That's your broadcast, pure pub/sub. And headers exchange. It matches on message headers instead of a routing key. Rare, but it's there for multi-attribute routing. Direct, topic, fanout, headers. Exact match, pattern match, broadcast, header match. Let's talk reliability, because RabbitMQ has a lot of thoughtful machinery here. Consumers send an acknowledgement after they successfully process a message. If they reject it, they can either re-queue it or drop it. Producers can turn on publisher confirms, so the broker tells them once a message is safely stored. For durability, you mark both the queue as durable and the messages as persistent. And you need both, because a persistent message sitting in a non-durable queue still vanishes on restart. And then there's prefetch, the flow control knob we mentioned earlier. It limits how many unacknowledged messages a single consumer can be holding at once. This stops one greedy consumer from grabbing the entire backlog and choking. RabbitMQ also has first-class dead lettering, through something called a dead letter exchange. You configure a queue so that rejected messages, or expired messages, or overflow messages get automatically republished to another exchange, which routes them to a dead letter queue. And here's a clever trick. Combine a message time to live with a dead letter exchange, and you've just built a delay queue. The message sits and waits for its timer to expire, then gets dead lettered back to the main queue. That's your retry with delay mechanism, built from primitives. So what does RabbitMQ give you that Kafka simply doesn't? Per message priority. High priority messages jump the line. Per message expiry. Individual messages can time out. Built-in request reply. And flexible routing without writing any consumer-side logic. But be honest about what it's bad at. Replay? No. Messages are gone after acknowledgement. There's no reprocess the last 30 days. Very high throughput? Not really. Think tens of thousands per second, not millions. And a deep queue with millions of unacknowledged messages will degrade. And many independent consumers reading the same stream? You'd have to fan out to a queue per consumer, and you still get no replay. One modern note. Newer RabbitMQ uses quorum queues, which replicate data across nodes using the Raft consensus algorithm for safe failover. Prefer those for anything that must not lose messages. So when do you reach for RabbitMQ? Task queues with competing workers. Complex routing that you'd otherwise hand code. Priorities, message expiry, or request reply. Moderate volume where a full streaming platform is overkill. Here's your one-liner. RabbitMQ is a smart broker. Routing, priorities, expiry, dead lettering, all built in. I reach for it for task queues and complex routing. I reach for Kafka when I need replay, huge throughput, or many independent consumers. Next up, the cloud-managed brokers, the zero operation services from AWS, Azure, and Google. If you like never running a server, you'll love this one.